Welcome, everybody. It's going to be nice and cool in here, and hopefully it's going to stay that way because it's too hot out to go outside. But welcome. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is City of Hardeeville City Council Workshop, 205 Main Street, Hardeeville, South Carolina, Monday, July 13th at 2 p.m. Now, this is a workshop, and because I see a lot of new faces, probably the first time you're here in City Hall. A workshop is a non-voting session. This is for the council to get information. A few years ago, we recognized that a lot of the developments nowadays have a lot of issues involved with it. And typically, after it came out of the Planning Commission, which happened last week regarding this project, there were so many questions by council. If there was going to be something with a lot of questions or some issues, we chose to have a workshop, a non-voting meeting, prior to it going to the first reading of the ordinance to approve the development. So that's the result of why we're meeting today in a workshop and not in a voting session. We anticipate this, there's a lot of questions. Just by evidence, we have a packed house today. We know there are a lot of questions, a lot of issues, a lot of concerns. So the council really wants to study this, ask questions, gather information. You will also notice that we are casually dressed today. If it's a voting regular city council meeting, you'll see us in jackets and ties, with the exception of Mrs. Guzman. She refuses to wear a jacket and tie. Also, in a regular city council meeting, we adhere more strictly to Robert's Rules of Order. And during a workshop, we're a little more relaxed. And we don't have an opening, we don't have an invocation or a pledge of allegiance, so we're a little more relaxed. And I remind the council, as I will right now, that anyone can speak as they wish. Just make sure that the previous speaker has yielded the floor. For the public, you will be invited to the podium. If you come to the podium, you will be asked to give your name and address for the public record. As you can see, we're on TV. Everything is recorded, and minutes are taken off the record. So that's why we want to make sure we have a record of who is speaking and what you're speaking about. So with that little preamble, which I normally don't give, so I'm doing it in your honor, and we will go now to Mr. Josh Gruber, who's our city manager, and he will lead us into the information that the council is going to be receiving. Mr. Gruber, take us away.
So there are 3 items on today's workshop agenda. All 3 items are related to the same development, and that is for the Peninsula Tracts. And so typically the way that these things work is they're taken in kind of sequential order. So the first question is typically, should this property be annexed into the city? That is always kind of the initial threshold question, because that answer is no, you don't make it onto questions 2, 3, 4, et cetera. And so the first question is, should this property be annexed in? And so that is what you have as far as item A. Item B will then talk about, if it is annexed into the city, the zoning designation that gets assigned for it. In this instance, it is based on a request to have a planned development district. And so we will go through what that is proposed, what it calls for, and kind of all the ins and outs of the zoning designation as a PDD. And then lastly, and so we keep getting more and more details each kind of layer we go down. The next layer then is an initial master plan for one of the parcels of property that is within the area that's under consideration for annexation. And so again, if we answer the question yes, 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 then we'll get to each one in sequential order, but all 3 are related to the same development.
Josh, again, because there's a lot of people new to our process, could you give a brief couple-minute explanation of what a PDD or Planned Development District is?
Yes. So a planned development district takes essentially your zoning code and tailors it to the development of a specific parcel of property or parcels of property under a common development scheme. And so typically we have a large number of planned development communities throughout the city. So Sun City, Margaritaville, Riverton Point, Hilton Head Lakes, all of those are planned development districts. And so what that says is because they're being developed under a comprehensive scheme, the zoning code should be tailored to fit that particular development plan. And so what we're going to be talking about today is the attributes of what is proposed in the planned development district so that both the public and council can be aware of what is being requested.
Thank you.
All right, so today we are going to do the PDD separate from the IMP. I know sometimes we combine them, but this is separate just because they're two different applicants, large project. The third item on the agenda is just a small piece of the overall peninsula tract, okay?
Okay. I'm going to ask all our staff, whoever comes forward, because again, there are a lot of new people here. They're new residents to the city of Hardeeville. Would each of us, whoever speaks, give your name and your role with the city?
Sure, I'm Katie Woodruff. I'm the Assistant Planning Director, and I'd like to welcome you all to downtown Hardeeville. A lot more people than planning commission, so welcome. All right, so we're looking at the Peninsula Tract. It is outlined in red here. You have Carolina Drive, runs this way. You have Jasper Station Road, and you have Argent Boulevard. This adjacent property is Sun City at East Argent. I'll give you an idea of where you are. So it's approximately 657 total acres. A large portion of this project is proposed to be annexed. What's currently in the city limits is this blue tract right here, which is called Peninsula 2. And then there's a Fire Station 82 site that y'all annexed in a little while ago, and that's currently zoned mixed use, but it's proposed to be tied into this PDD. The parts in orange here are not in the planned development district. So we have some drone footage for you. This is on Village Drive looking towards Argent Boulevard. You can see the existing apartments to the left, and then to the right is the Peninsula Tract PDD here. Argent Boulevard would be down here in the, well, not that far, but again, this is another shot of existing conditions. We have a shot which is kind of down near where Carolina Drive is, looking towards Sun City over here to the west. And then you have, we're on Carolina Drive looking towards Jasper Station Road. You can see the retreat development in the distance there. This is the proposed concept plan. You can see that the back part, which is the initial master plan area, is proposed to be a residential district. Everything else is going to be mixed use district with exception of that future Fire Station 82 site on Village Drive, which is a civic district. You can also see the interconnectivity, which to the East Argent Plan Development District. So this would be to future commercial, which we do not have an initial master plan for yet, at the front of East Argent. And then there's some other connection points that are to the existing Sun City Sun City initial master plan at East Argent. You also have another access point here on Carolina Drive near Jasper Station Road. So this, again, is proposed to be a mixed-use development consisting of residential, mixed-use districts, and civic district. The residential density proposed, including attached, detached, multifamily, is 4,300 total units. This will be looked at the time of each initial master plan. So you will have the ability to look at the proposed density at the time that those future master plans come and see how that can all work together. This complies with the land use element of the comprehensive plan because it does provide that mixed use development, and it's going to potentially help keep Argent Boulevard, existing and future residents off of Argent Boulevard and the need to go on that corridor because of the interconnectivity. So it will give opportunities for services within close proximity to those residents. It's also in keeping with the community facilities element, which includes, again, that civic site as well as annexation of these parcels could allow for additional connectivity that may enhance emergency access to the East Argent PDD communities. So emergency access is definitely a big consideration with this planned development district and annexation. Transportation element is, again, it complies with this element in that it provides those multiple connections to East Argent, Argent Boulevard, and Jasper Station Road. Again, interconnectivity is a big one for us in this instance. They're also proposing a comprehensive walking and cycling pathway network, including an 8-foot wide trail on the concept plan, which I'll show you in just a second, which would be located along what's called an avenue of oaks. And then all other pedestrian walkways will be at least 5 feet wide on at least one side of the road and connect to multi-use trails wherever possible. So when I talk about that multi-use pathway, or that 8-foot pathway, it goes, kind of wraps around this development. And so as future initial master plans come in, we can look at how we can connect to that pathway and make a really great network for those future residents. Open space, they're proposing a minimum of 25% for the whole PDD. 10% active open space in each residential IMP. And then at the time that you get future IMPs, you'll be looking at the specific amount of open space based on those proposed uses. They're proposing a minimum of 15 trees per acre. They did request in their PDD document that consideration be allowed to allow up to 3 palms per acre to be counted towards that requirement. There are some existing live oaks that are located in portions of the property. So both staff and Planning Commission recommend that a condition be placed on the PDD to require arborist reports for removal of any of those proposed specimen trees. In such case that those arborist reports show that the tree is healthy, it should go to Board of Zoning Appeals. That is what we do for any of our downtown residents and other areas of the city. Buffers, they're proposing a minimum of 50 foot, except for along Carolina and Village Drive where there would be a 15-foot vegetative buffer. This came up during the Planning Commission meeting, questions about the size of that buffer. And those roads are really proposed to be more of commercial frontage roads. And so the 15-foot is in keeping with the MZDO, which depending on adjacent uses really requires typically around 10 to 15, depending on those uses. So again, at each time of IMP, if additional buffers and open space are needed, you'll have that review time. So based on the standards of the comprehensive plan, Planning Commission recommends that the PDD get approved with the conditions that 15 hardwood trees per acre, not palms, and then the arborist report and BZA review for specimen trees. And at this time, I will invite John Paul Moore with Thomas and Hutton to take it from here.
Good afternoon, JP
Good
Moore,
afternoon.
Thomas and Hutton. Thank you all for making the time today for this. We've been working on this with staff for many, many months now. So I'm here on behalf of Thomas and Hutton. Rick is here on behalf of Kimley Horn to speak to any traffic issues, and of course Dave Abdo here, the applicant for the PDD. I think Katie did a great job going over it. I don't have anything really to add unless you have, and we're really just ready to dive into your questions and comments. Unless Dave, you want to add anything? Good. Okay.
Okay, so that's all the information that you have to present to council. For the PDD. So would you recommend that the council take one issue at a time rather than look at the whole thing?
So that we can make sure that the PDD text is as clear as possible on what those standards are for the whole development, I would recommend that. If you would like to see the IMP presentation prior to that, we're open to however you
No,
think is best
I
fit.
I think council, I would suggest we take their recommendation because it is somewhat different.
Yeah, I just don't want to focus just on one small area when we've got a much larger project, so, yeah. Thank you.
And council, I did not separate the questions I handed you by each of the three agenda items. I just wrote from the planning commission my questions as they came up, and so they're off my notebook. So some of these questions may be towards the IMP. So we'll now open it up to council's questions. Council?
I will, Mayor, if I may, before we can. After last week, we prepared this combined exhibit in front of you to kind of show a better illustration of how and then this is combined. It shows the PDD alignments or the PDD outline in red, that boundary, along with the connectivity to East Argent that's proposed. So it gives it a little more context, if you will, as you look at the overall track and how it connects to Carolina Drive and out to Argent Boulevard. So hopefully that helps a little bit as we talk through it.
Thank you. Okay, council, who wants to lead us off?
I have major traffic concerns. We already have failing intersections. And I understand this won't all get built at once. But without a definitive timeline to improve Argent Boulevard, the intersections along it, even East Argent Parkway, are we putting the cart before the horse with this? I understand this is gonna take time to build out, but right now, we have failing roads. Is there any development plan for a timeline for any of this? Do we have any type of idea for this?
Good afternoon. My name is Rick Reef. I'm a traffic engineer with the consulting firm McKinley Horn. We've been working with the city and JP and the developer on this for several months now. We know there's a traffic issue along Argent Boulevard. There's a lot of traffic today. There's a lot planned for the corridor on top of this. So in coordination with SCDOT and the city, we do recognize that. So we did limit the development of Peninsula Track until a point where it can handle additional traffic, or Argent Boulevard could handle additional traffic with the widening that Jasper County is currently under design for with this transportation sales tax. So our traffic study has a number of turn lane improvements, signalization improvements at the major intersections along Argent Boulevard corridor to handle the additional traffic. The background of traffic of approved development that's already been approved, and then plus a portion of the Peninsula Track traffic until Argent Boulevard can be widened. Okay.
Is there a matrix available for us and for the public to understand what this is? You're saying there's a timeline.
Yes.
I would like to see the timeline, and I'm sure the public would like to know that also.
Yeah, we have a traffic study that we can provide you where that's documented. I believe we assumed that, or we found out, ran a sensitivity analysis. So this is an 11-year build out for the whole project. We found that approximately 48% of the residential and 29% of the commercial could be built until Argent Boulevard fails with improvements and the widening. At some point between 2030, 2031.
I just hate to disagree with you, but the point where Argent Boulevard fails, I think we've achieved that in some places. My other question is the buffer along your commercial area, the 15 feet. I feel a little bit better with 25 feet in there to be consistent. Our goal is to have enough of a vegetative setback to keep a natural look to the area.
So, and the reason why we landed there is because there's a bigger, there's already two PDDs there today, Peninsula 1, Peninsula 2. The properties across from Village Drive are in that PDD and was developed with that Jasper County PDD in mind. So just keeping in the likeness of that, we didn't.
You can keep
What's that?
going. I'm just Xing out of these
Oh,
so it can
sorry.
get bigger. Sorry. Go ahead.
So we'll be developing along Village Drive as part of the PDD. That way, it's a similar development because Village Drive is essentially within. It's not even though it's perimeter to this PDD, but it's integral to the development. It was always intended to be developed and fronted on for that commercial development. That's why we landed there with staff.
Okay, I just like the 25 feet. It looks better. We've requested that from others to do that, and I'm not. What Jasper County approves is Jasper County. I'm representing the city of Hardeeville.
Sure,
Who
and I
understand where I'm coming with this.
absolutely.
My design is different from the Jasper County Council's idea of how this should look.
Well, sure. And we, like Katie mentioned, we leaned on what's in the current MZDO for that similar zoning district to make sure that it's compatible uses. And like I said, when it comes back for IMP, if it's incompatible with what's across the street, that buffer can be revisited at that time as well.
Okay.
So
I have one other question, and I think I talked with Katie before this, and I asked this because of the number of homes, not only in this, as our future growth goes. Will Beaufort Jasper Water Sewer be prepared to handle this much more? They have expanded one plant. And these plants aren't expanded overnight. So the development of this growing at a reasonable pace, it's going to be very important that we have this. We had some issues with water 2 years ago where we got very close, and we sure don't want to repeat that, especially not with wastewater. I know some of the developments along 278 on the south side of 278 now, where they were to be go to Cherry Point, now they're being rerouted to another development. So that's just something to be very aware of as all of this comes online, to make sure the utilities are there available that are going to work with this.
yeah, absolutely. And we have a will serve letter from Beaufort Jasper on this already, and thankfully the treatment plant's close to this one, but and they're committed to serve it. We are, if you get in the weeds on the math, we are reducing the overall combined rooftop density, if you will, between multifamily and residential by over 600 units. So it is entitled today, and Beaufort Jasper committed to serving it then, and they're also committing to serving it now.
What was the date on that commitment from them?
The updated one? We have an updated one for this
Do you?
PDD.
Okay, because some of the other PDDs were 20 years ago. And there was nobody on this land. Now there was, and
Yeah, sure. No, we got an updated one that's in the package for this PDD.
thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Anyone else?
I have a question about the interconnectivity. The fire station, particularly from where it's coming on the Peninsula Tract going into Sun City. Because right now, it seems like they will have to pull out onto Argent and then turn, and then go down and then go up that way, increasing the response time. Is there any interconnectivity plan between Peninsula and the Sun City?
There is, and this is definitely a topic that we wanted to focus on in this workshop as well. But this would be future connectivity into the commercial part of East Argent right here, which would connect over to Sundance, Drive. So there's one connectivity point. There's another potential connectivity point there. And then in this initial master plan, we're showing these two up here. Right now, they would go from, depending on where they're going, I mean, they would either have to go to Argent Boulevard or they'd go up Village Drive when it eventually connects to Carolina, and they could go up through the Retreat and Hunt Club to East Argent. Parkway as well. But this is something that we want to explore with you during this workshop if there are other opportunities. We do know there's a conservation easement to the north of the parcel of this peninsula tract up here. But my understanding is there may be some opportunities for emergency only access that way.
So,
And I can show you
okay,
this exhibit right here shows kind of everything going on in the East Argent development. And the green portion is that conservation area.
so where would that emergency access only road be constructed?
That's what we need to determine.
Because I mean, I don't want to leave that
No, that's
to,
what, yeah.
to whenever we get to it kind of thing. I think it needs to be taken care of
During this process.
during this process.
Absolutely.
Because, we'll get to it when we get to it kind of thing. And that doesn't fly with me.
Yeah, that's not the
so-
goal. That's part of what we wanted to work and see what could happen in the future and discuss that and make sure that that's taken care of during this process. Okay?
Because I think that's very important because people's lives are on the line. You know,
Absolutely.
it's like if you're going to add response time to someone's having a cardiac arrest,
Yeah.
that's not cool.
No, absolutely. 100% that is an item that needs to be taken care of during this process.
Okay. The other thing that I had was, and I know this is getting into, listening to the Planning Commission meeting, it was stated that Mr. Abdo is the part owner of this company. And so who else is owning this property?
Yeah, Dave Abdo. I reside in Charleston. I am a part owner of New Sky LLC that owns the majority of this property. I am an owner, and there are two trusts that I control. So I am the manager for the LLC. The trusts are set up for my wife and children. And then there is a small portion, I can't remember the exact number. It's only about 6%, which is IDK. I am the majority owner of IDK. So it just kind of worked out this way with funds.
Okay. So whatever decision you make towards this process cannot be challenged by somebody else?
Correct. I'm the controlling member of IDK,
Right.
and I am the manager of New Sky. So in essence, I can make any decisions regarding any of this and don't need to get any approval from anybody, that I'm the decision maker.
Okay. I will have probably more questions later, so I will use the floor at this time, sir.
Okay. Bo, do you have any questions before I go to my list?
Just to reiterate what Steve talked about with the buffer and the traffic, those are critical issues that, and then I think Val's point is well taken. So rather than go through it again, I think I agree with what's been said, and I'm sure Harry will bring some interesting points as well. So I'm going to pass it on to him.
Okay, I was at the planning commission meeting and I wrote a lot of notes. I'll try to stick to the PDD first. So this map that up there is the total PDD, right? According to my notes, they're asking, first of all, is the PDD active or expired? It was a PDD with Jasper County. Is that expired?
I believe, and I'll defer to Prina, she probably knows better than anybody else, but I believe it was a 10-year or 20-year PDD in Jasper County. And that would have technically be expired.
It's expired. So
but it is a development
There is
agreement.
not a active PDD in place, Prina?
I've only looked into the development agreement. I'm not aware of a PDD that existed as far as the zoning goes.
Well,
There was a development agreement, which to this parcel has expired.
Right.
Okay.
Which controlled the PDD was buried in the development agreement, just like this one. So it
There
runs
were
together.
some, yeah, that's right. There were some development standards in that development agreement, but that agreement pertaining to these specific parcels is expired. We can confirm that. So
Okay, so that it is expired, so what's being asked for here is a new plan development district.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct?
That's correct, and it would
Okay.
be in accordance with the city of Hardyville's zoning and development ordinance.
Okay.
Right. Because currently, I'll want to restate just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Peninsula 1 is a PDD in Jasper County today. Like you said, the development agreement's, quote, expired. Then Peninsula 2 is in Hardyville. And we're going to make one PDD out of both of them.
That's
Those
already
previous,
in the city limits.
correct.
the
And that,
Peninsula 2.
and when we're done here, assuming everything goes and we come to an agreement, there will be one Peninsula Tract PDD, and those other two will be null and void.
All right, so we're asking for one
One.
new
Correct.
plan development district.
Correct.
Okay, that consists of 657 acres,
Correct.
of which 413 acres are being asked to be annexed. Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay,
Let's go to the map just to make sure.
all right.
Got a map.
So now, Aberley Chase, which at the planning commission said there was about 875 apartments, or 825, somewhere around there, 800 and something. Is that part of the PDD? So that
That
is
will remain in Jasper
in
County.
Jasper County.
Correct.
And it's not part of the 4,300 homes
Correct.
that are being asked for.
That's correct.
Okay. And of that 657 acres, 325 acres is part of what Pulte is asking for Sun City. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So my question is this. I'm looking at this. I see where Pulte wants to build, and I'm a little confused about what they asked for. 875 homes.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
I have a question about that, but I think that goes to the IMP. All right, so my question is, if Aberley Chase is not in there, you're talking about somewhere around, what, 3,400 homes in the remaining 332 acres?
Well, it's a mix, right? You can fit a lot more on multifamily site unit
Not
wise.
my question. That's-
Right.
I'm
But
just-
yes, to
I'm
answer your
trying to
question.
get clarified.
Yes, to answer your question.
What's being asked for is 3,400 homes on 332 acres.
So Mayor, if I may, so there are some higher density proposed areas in the mixed use sections of this development. And I have some examples nearby, if you don't mind, of how that works and how that can work to create like a town center type feel here. So hold on just one second. So I went to our neighbors over in Bluffton, and the first stop I did was the Bluffton Promenade. And this is on a 7.8 acre tract. It's mixed use, residential above, commercial on the bottom floor. I know most of you are probably familiar, but then you have the green open, it's high density, but then you have like the green open space here within this. So that's an example of a live work. Another one is in Bluffton Village. Again, it's a higher density, but it's live work, walkable, live work play. There's townhomes back there. And then most recently, the newest development in Bluffton is at the Circle, which is New Riverside Village. What they did is truly, if you go out to that site, there are kids coming from the park over there to get ice cream that live in the apartments and the townhomes there. But they built up the density around kind of the edge here so that in the center, they could have a really nice active open area in the middle with they've really activated the use of that lagoon. They have a dock, they have benches, they have a walking trail and everything. And so there are some times where the higher density may be appropriate, and I just wanted to show you some examples of that. And that's really something that we would recommend looking at as we move through each IMP as well, based on the actual type of usage. But I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome. And
But let's get back to the central point, and this is in my concern. We're talking about a density of 10, almost 10 homes per acre outside the Sun City, okay? Now go back to Mr. Mearsman's concern. We're going to add 4,300 homes onto Argent Boulevard and no other outlet out of that development. And our fire station, which is on Village Drive, you just described going through a rat's maze to get to East Argent, where we have zoned 9,500 homes. I'll agree with Mr. Mearsman, it's unacceptable. We need, and that's for you to come back, we need a road from Village Drive to East Argent Parkway. I'm not going to begin to give a recommendation because we got conservation easements, we have wetlands, but we need a way not only for our first responders to get into the peninsula tract, the new peninsula tract, which right now you're saying doesn't exist, but also that they can get and service all of East Argent Parkway. Right? And not going through a rat's maze. So before I say yes to any PDD, I need to know where that road's going to go and when it's going to be built. I agree with Mr. Mearsman. We cannot, we can't have our fire department racing through Sun City, not only the new Sun City, but Sun City East Argent to get to East Argent Parkway. We also can't have them going around 10 miles around Argent Boulevard to get to East Argent Parkway. Here we have, so as part of what we've asked for many developments, Morgan Tract most recently, we need a road built that services our first responders for public safety.
Okay. Well, Dave doesn't control all the way to Argent Park, East Argent Boulevard.
No, what we're asking for, and you don't have to answer it, but I want an answer coming back. How is our first responders going to get from Village Drive to East Argent Parkway within a reasonable amount of time? And that responsibility will be on this PDD because that's what's being asked, is for us to approve 4,300 new homes.
What about the public safety site that's already deeded to the city of Hardeeville, though?
Excuse me, that's not there, and it's hypothetical, and we are building a new fire station on Village Drive. As far as we're concerned up here, that's the only fire station. Okay?
Okay, I hear you there, but
There's a
when
$10 million fire station. You say, okay, I don't want to build a road, but you build a $10 million fire station.
I don't think.
Is that what
they
you're
would-
asking me to
No,
do?
no, sir. I don't think they would have any problem providing that access if there's not a physical, there's not a route.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not suggesting what it is. What I'm suggesting to you is, as part of your plan, that road and that plan should be part of it. And when you're ready, come on back and we'll have a vote.
Well,
Okay? That's my challenge to you.
go ahead, Dave.
So this is Carolina Drive, right here.
Right,
Fire station is here.
right.
We are gonna have connectivity. There's a big wetland right there to cross. That is part of our wetland, plan, is to have a crossing there. So they'd be able to come up Village, go down, and I think this connects up somewhere
ways.
through the, I don't know how that is. I'm not aware of it, but I know that that connects up basically from Jasper Station up to East Argent.
Correct. The retreat and Hunt Club both connect there. It's through neighborhood roads. It's not a spine road, but just being, we're talking. So, but the Jasper Station Carolina Drive will become a 4-lane intersection when both of those IMPs are built out that they could connect to and go either way through to East Argent Parkway. Like that's the only connectivity, or that is the connectivity right now. And then like I said, Dave's got connectivity to the property he owns to the other side. So 2 potential access points there that will also provide access to the commercial, quicker access than having to go out to Village, Argent Boulevard and
I'm
around.
not disputing that. What this is about is access to 4,300 new homes, and B, the what will be Sun City, one new section and one section of Sun City being built. And how are we going to properly service that through fire and rescue?
And I think at this time, I would advise the applicant's team to get with staff and discuss this and come back with some potential alternatives for the next
Yeah,
meeting, so.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm not, this is, we're up here, at least 2 of us have expressed a concern about public safety. And, I think we need to know if that avenue you just described, and I do not think it's appropriate for you to say, hey, City of Hardeeville, go build a new fire station on East Argent. That is, you go file, you get elected, you can sit up here, but that's not part of this conversation.
Duly noted.
Okay?
No disrespect.
Okay, none taken, but I'm not going to let something go by. You've been in front of me long enough to know I'm not going to let that go by. Okay. So that's what the PDD, and the second part of that, I'm concerned about that quantity of density. And I'll tell you, and let me explain why. You're talking about 3,400 homes, or 3,400 residents outside of Sun City. And like I said, that's 10 per acre, so that's all apartments. So that's 3,400 apartment units in a very small area that's going to put a huge amount of traffic onto Argent Parkway and all the interior roads. It's got to be, we already have entitled 3,100 apartments in this city, but they're spread out over 60 square miles. Now you want to put in 3,400 apartments in 300 acres. And that's going to put a whole lot of traffic onto, as Mr. Mearsman said, a failing road. I'm not happy with the plans that you have for that. I'm uneasy about granting that amount of density.
I will say, just where we landed on 4,300, honestly, prior to Pulte coming to Dave and saying, hey, working out what they were going to purchase, basically. So now that that's somewhat progressing, maybe we can review that with Dave, and he might cut me off, but we can review that number with Dave. Now that Pulte's committing to this IMP with 875 units, maybe we can take a look at that overall number from that. And because I hear you, to answer your question though, it won't fit. That just won't.
It won't fit.
It's
And
too
here-
much. It's because of how big of a bite Pulte took of that area and build it to how they want to build it. That's going to take more of that land, and ultimately, the true build out of the rest of that property will be lower than that. This is just the entitlements for the property, and I hear you. It duly noted. We'll take a look at it and come back.
If it's going to be less than that, then let's put the entitlements less than that. And here's, if I do my math right, Pulte's asking for 875 homes in 325 acres. That's 2.7 an acre. And that's inconsistent with some of the things Sun City, East Argent, North, et cetera, where we've had. We've been around that number, okay? If you took the entire 675 acres and you applied that same density, that same amount of people, and especially if they're retirees and they're not going to work every morning at 8 o'clock, you have a lot less traffic, okay? So now, to me, as a city planner, that's a lot more desirable
Sure.
than to have squeezed in that little area 3,400 apartment units with only one outlet onto a road that's failing. And don't forget one thing, and you used it before. You said Argent Boulevard is going to be widened. We don't know that. We have no idea what Argent Boulevard is capable of having done to it. None. Until that design is done, we don't know if it's going to, what's going to be done. We know we have $57 million and we're applying to the feds for more, but we don't know what's going to be done. There's already existing, Abilene Chase is right up to the road. I don't know how you widen that. So take widening out of your head. We don't know what's going to happen to Argent Boulevard. We will make it better, but we don't know how we're going to make it better and how it will affect that particular intersection at Village Drive. So I think we have to have a better traffic plan than what I'm seeing so far about what we're and right now I'm opposed to having 3,500 units in there. Personally, I think that Pulte should buy all 657 acres. They're selling plenty of homes, and then that issue comes off the table, and then we can have a way that they connect through their neighborhoods for public safety. That would make it a whole lot easier, so you might want to have that conversation at a later time with them. Okay, let me go on to the next thing.
Can I address two things you mentioned,
Sure.
Mayor, please? So it's going to have two connection points out to Argent Boulevard. And so you'll have one primarily at Village Drive, and then also this section will be directly served from Carolina Drive over to Jasper Station and out to Shortcut to the red light there. So it does have two primary routes, ignoring the connections to East Argent, right? I just want to make sure that's clear.
I hear what
Okay.
you're saying, and that's going to help, but you're also going to have, that road's going to connect out to East Argent and Hunt Club and all those that you talked about. And have you seen Jasper Station Road and Shortcut Road?
I have.
And you tell me how much more traffic that's.
I have.
You could widen that to 6 lanes at that intersection. It would still be one of the most dangerous intersections we have in the city. So, not to mention so you're adding a lot more traffic into these areas, and I don't think that's been fully recognized and studied and with a plan. This plan, PDD, needs a better traffic plan than what I'm seeing here.
So I will, and I don't know if this email made it to you, and I'll make sure it does after the meeting. So the DOT only approved this. They put a cap, and Rick touched on it. I'll go into the specifics, and it's in a mix. It's all based on the number of trips, but they only approved up to 350 single family detached, 900 multifamily, 200 senior adults, and 40,000 square foot of commercial, or some ratio
For what? For this
as the
PD?
cap before of development for Peninsula Tract until Argent Boulevard is being widened. So they put a cap on it for the city to then enforce ultimately. They wouldn't let us get permits past that point, is how that would work.
A cap by SCDOT and what is intelligent may be two entirely different things. Okay? And what we're trying to, this council's charged with, is coming up with the intelligent plan,
Sure.
not the DOTs. They look in page 325 of their book and say, this is what the cap should be.
Right.
We're trying to put a little more common sense and apply it to the actual conditions that are on the ground. Okay, so thank you for that information. But again, I'll go back, and I'm echoing Mr. Mearsman because he brought it up first. We need to see a better traffic plan for this PDD. And I'll go back and I'll use an example of the Morgan Tract. We required the Morgan Tract, and they were gracious in their negotiations, and they gave us $8 million to fix John Smith Road and 278, because it was their responsibility of putting 6,200 homes into that area, okay? And that's what we're looking for out of this PDD as well, okay? So you got some work to do.
Noted.
No sleeping until it's done.
That's right. Rick.
Okay. Next note that I wrote. We want 3 palms per acre as part of the required 15. The Planning Commission, to their credit, said they are against it, that the palms should be in addition to the 15 hardwoods, and if any palms are put in, they should be palmetto after the palmetto state. I don't know one palm from another, so whatever that meant. My only point is this. I agree wholeheartedly. I will vote no for anything. I want 25 trees per acre, and I've proposed that to the city. But, right now we have an ordinance that says 15, and I'm absolutely opposed to that. And if you touch one of those big oak trees, I don't care what it costs, if they're clear cut. Remember the chainsaw guy? I'm gonna be
right, duly noted.
looking for you. I'm gonna use the same chainsaw you used on that oak tree.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Now, I'm really adamant. There's an ordinance that say any oak tree over a certain circumference should not be touched, and I think Katie Brana, I think that should be strictly adhered to. And the 15 per acre, that's not mine. And I made another note while I was thinking about that. How often are we, and it's not just Sun City or any development, how often do we inventory to make sure our 15 per acre is being done?
Throughout the entire process, we look at it from PDD, master plan, site development permit. They have to provide the updated count because some of our older ones are written by PDD as a whole, and some are written by master plan individually. So we look at it every step. We do post-development inspections, so they can't get their bonds back until they have all those trees in place. And then from there on, it's really us and code enforcement making sure that we don't lose any. So every step of the way.
My question really goes deeper than that, because I have heard rumors, since I do live in Sun City, that some people accidentally have their oak trees die off on them, and they replace it by a palm tree or something.
Not legal.
How do we know that 5 years from now, we still have 15 per acre. I thought we inventoried every once in a while.
We do.
Okay, that was
And
my question.
as we see us, that's how we have to be out there every day, us, code enforcement, everybody, keeping an eye on that. And a lot of our HOAs are up to speed on our current ordinances as well. So they know when they get a request to send the people to us, and we work with them on that, so.
Okay, I think that's all. I have a bunch of questions, but I think they are more to the IMP, and I'm sure Matt's really anxious to get to those questions as well. But Council, are there any other questions regarding the IMP, or if you want to elaborate, or even disagree with anything I had to say?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say, gentlemen, no disrespect. I know you've all put a lot of hard work into this. The concerns I have about the traffic safety, you gentlemen are sitting here looking up at our eyes. We're sitting here looking at the eyes of all of those folks out there. All you folks out there, how many of y'all drive Argent Boulevard on a daily basis?
Turn around, look at them, sir.
Take a look. Right now, my wife and grandson are on Argent Boulevard. I don't want to dump a lot more traffic on there to make these people unsafe or anybody in my family. You know, you all have the right to build. I completely understand that. But our responsibility is to the safety of the citizens, so it's nothing personal. When we're talking about a fire station access or access to the road, the day will come when none of us are sitting here, and other people are going to be sitting out there too, but they're going to be driving those roads. And we've seen today things that were done by previous councils we're paying a price for today. 20 years from now, I don't want people saying, geez, that council back in 2026, look what they did. We have a chance to make it right. Let's do it right. That's all.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else?
Like I said before about the interconnectivity for EMS, that is an absolute must. Absent that, it will be a no vote from me as well, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're going to vote no, or you're just not going to vote? No,
I
no, you're no
just-
voting.
if there is
I'm
no-
just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay. What's next?
Up next, you get to hear from Javier. So I'm gonna pass it off to him for the IMP.
You did a good job the other day.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members, City of Hardyville residents. I'm Javier Barrera, the senior planner here with the City of Hardyville. And this afternoon, I will be presenting the Sun City at Peninsula Track IMP. So first slide we got here, so this is basically just an aerial map of our site, as you can see outlined in red. And I've also provided some symbology or some labels as far as the reference points of some of the adjacent developments or corridors. In this case, Argent Boulevard, Retreat at East Argent, and Sun City at East Argent. So a little bit of background about this site. The applicant here is Del Webb Communities. It is approximately 325 acres. This site is about a mile northwest of Argent Boulevard, and it's adjacent to the Sun City at East Argent. The applicant here is proposing single-family detached and attached homes. And this site is within two tracks, track D1, which is currently undergoing annexation, and then track D3, which is in the city limits. So going into the existing conditions. So next series of slides are just drone footage of the site. I've also provided the approximate height, which is about 100 to 200 feet, as well as the direction on the top right corner. So first slide we have here is from the south direction. As you can see, this is Sun City at East Argent. Next slide we have here is from the west direction, and you can see a portion of Sun City at East Argent, or at least the western side of it. Then this next slide is just a photo from the north direction. And as you can see, it is just primarily just pines. And then here's another photo from that northern direction as well. And then you can see or make out in the distance there the retreat at East Argent. And then lastly, we have a photo from the eastern direction, and you can see or make out Arborlee Chase and the Palmer Apartments, as well as Argent Boulevard. So, as you've seen from those photos, the site at the moment, it is undeveloped. Some of the ecological features of the site, so 235 acres consist of uplands, and then 90 acres consist of jurisdictional and non-jurisdictional wetlands. Again, the site is primarily wooded with a pine plantation and has scattered hardwoods, excuse me. Going into the IMP, so I'll give our council members some time to look at the IMP if they haven't looked at it already, as well as our residents here. But just to highlight some things, so this site will have 3 access points connecting to that Sun City at East Argent, or 2 connecting to Sun City at East Argent, excuse me, and then there's 1 will be connected into Carolina Drive to the south, or in the east if you're looking at it from the compass point or compass direction. But we also have that buffer line outlined in that white dash, indicating that 50-foot buffer going along the majority of the site until you make it to this entrance point where it then bottlenecks down to 25-foot buffer. And then as far as this boundary line here to the south or the bottom, there will be a self-imposed setback, 50-foot setback. So yeah, just going into detail of that analysis. So again, the site, the land use here is single-family residential. Unit count is 875 single-family detached and attached homes with a net density of 2.7 units per acre. Again, there will be 3 access points, 1 on Carolina Drive and then 2 into Sun City at East Argent. In regards to the lot sizes, smallest lot size here will be 0.10 acres, and then the largest size will be 0.30 acres. And continuing on with that analysis, lot setbacks are as follows. So each lot will have a setback of 25 feet from the front, 6 feet to the side, and 15 feet to the rear. And then lastly, the site will be broken up into 5 phases, with the first phase anticipating to have 161 lots and subsequent phases to be determined based on market conditions. So going into the open space plan, again, I'll give our council members as well as the residents some time to just look at this plan. And then also I just would like to highlight some things while y'all guys observe it. So this site will have essentially 2 sidewalks at the entrance here until you get to the first local road, which then that sidewalk would then just be on one side of the road for the entirety of the development, as well as that there is some portions where there will be proposed walking trails, which are indicated in this violet color. And as well as I think this part of the presentation will go over those buffers if we haven't gone through them already. So open space. So again, this site will have 122.5 acres of passive open space, and then it will also have 23.5 acres of active open space. And then right below it, it's just a breakdown of what will consist of those open spaces. At the bottom here regarding the buffers, so there will be a 50-foot buffer along the northern, western, and southern boundaries of the development, 25-foot buffer along the right side of the entrance road coming off of Carolina Drive. There will be a self-imposed 50-foot setback along the southeastern boundary. And then lastly, we will have a 25-foot buffer, a wetland buffer imposed on the wetlands found throughout the site. In regards to the tree requirements, there's going to be a minimum of 15 trees per acre, as according to the PDD. As well as the applicant is proposing, or the IMP is proposing, that there will be street trees provided in addition to the tree requirements after the construction of the home. In regards to sidewalks, there will be proposed sidewalks on both sides at the entrance of Carolina Drive, which I indicated to you guys earlier, as well as that there will be sidewalk on one side for the entirety of the development after that entrance point. So consistency with the city adopted plans. This IMP is consistent with three goals in our City of Hardeeville comprehensive plan. First one being the community facility element goal C, through the prioritization of and preservation of wetlands and open space areas within city limits, as well as prioritizing access to open spaces and planning areas for small pocket parks or neighborhood parks that are within a half mile to residents. This also ties with the community facility goals, goal B, through the strategy of providing adequate and efficient space for those critical facilities or infrastructure, in this case, Fire Station 51. It also ties with that strategy of collaborating with those department heads in regards to annexation and infrastructure expansion through that act of connectivity, as you've seen with Sun City, East Argent. And then lastly, we got land use goal A, and this IMP ties with the strategy of providing a variety of housing options near work and amenities, as well as conserving natural resources through those wetlands, or preservation of those wetlands. So Planning Commission recommendation, based on the standards of the City of Hardeeville Comp Plan and the Peninsula Tract PDD, the Planning Commission recommend approval of the IMP as is. And at this time, I would like to invite up JP again to answer any questions for the council members.
You didn't want to get up, did you?
Yeah.
So, hello again. So similar to the previous, we've been working with staff on this one as well for the last couple of months. And Javier did a great job. If y'all have any other questions, Matt and I are here to field them.
Okay. Who wants to start?
Crossing the wetlands.
Yes, sir.
How are you going to do that?
Right.
You're splitting it's a wetland area, you're gonna go across it. Is added permitting necessary for that?
Correct. Right now, RLC, the wetland consultant, has submitted the wetland permit package for the entirety of the PDD, not specific to just the Pulte crossings, but all of them are in that wetland impact package. So that is in the process, and that is a requirement. We don't see any issues with that. It's just road crossings. Those are typically, they're quote normal items, normal impacts for the Corps. We're not asking for anything out of the ordinary there. So we don't foresee any issues.
The reason I ask that is because it relates back to our first question is to get over to East Argent, there's a big chunk of wetlands there. That should have been included, and access across there should have been included in all of this.
And
To be able to take Village Drive somewhere directly over there. The mayor made that, the rat maze that we talked about earlier. A direct line between two areas is the best way to go.
so so the wetland impact plan includes the Village Drive crossing. To specifically answer what you just asked for.
To connect to where?
Carolina Drive to connect to a future IMP on this side. So Dave retains the land here. Go back to. So Dave Carp, this portion was in the, go back to a little bit of history. This portion was covered by the Pulte's East Argent IMP originally. Dave, once he started acquiring land over here, they negotiated a deal to basically pull this area back. He clawed that back, is the term he used, from Pulte's sale to be able to build a road to connect the Village Drive and Carolina Drive to his commercial frontage to provide that connectivity.
My concern was over at the other end of your development that connects up to, East Argent. Go to the top.
These two,
Go up to the top.
that one and that one.
Up there, yeah. It just makes sense to me. I don't have a problem with this plan. I just think piecing things together is not a good way to do this. And I still go back, it relates, this plan right here will only have basically one access out onto East Argent as we come along. I'm
Well-
not opposed to any of these plans. I just cannot wrap my head around how this is going to be pieced together to work.
Well, and it'll really have three ultimately. You'll come out to Argent Boulevard here. These will connect through to East Argent Parkway, so they can go to East Argent Parkway to Argent Boulevard, Sundance to Argent Boulevard, and then out to Carolina Drive to Jasper Station. So we connected it as best we could, I guess, to answer your question. At the time of when Pulte did the East Argent IMP, we had potential connections shown on that IMP in hopes that this would happen, but they hadn't even, that was a different owner owned Peninsula Track at that time. So then Dave acquired it and they started talking. So here we are today.
Valbo.
Mr. Barrera showed us a map with the walking trails. Can we get to that map, please?
I've got it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So this is one of my pet things that I always talk about. And
Okay.
sometimes the mayor will tease me if I forget. So I made a point to note that I don't forget that.
Okay.
The looping trail around the ponds, people will be walking their dogs around that. And no matter what body of water or where it is, even if it's brand spanking new, 2 months old, you will find a gator in there. What safety precautions are you gonna take? Because I think it was not too long ago, I believe it was the Spanish Wells, there was a lady that lost her life walking her dog, and the family just settled with the HOA to settle that case. So these things do happen. So what safety precautions are you guys gonna take to prevent that kind of stuff from happening?
The questions around safety precautions we do with aggressive alligators.
Matt, please.
Oh, sorry. My name is Matt Rains. I am the division president for Pulte Homes and represent Del Webb Communities, Inc. I've been the division president for about 4 or 5 years, but been with the team now for 19, 21, counting the years in Myrtle. So the question around things to do with the alligators, I think you're hitting on a really good point. The interaction between the water and the walking trails will be critical as far as restricting people from walking their dogs. We have never done something to that nature. I don't have a proactive plan for creating a barrier between the walking trails and the lakes. When we were envisioning the way to activate the lakes, we were looking at ways we could create interconnectivity, whether it was a fishing pier / dock, or if there are other ways to activate along the water line. I hear you on the alligator concern. Typically, what happens when there's an aggressive alligator, they do a test on those. A test for an aggressive alligator, there's a person licensed, you get a permit and have them removed if they come to people. It's basically a whistle test. Beyond that, if you have suggestions, we're open to listening to any recommendations.
Mr. Gruber, doesn't the SCDNR have recommendations on how to protect the public from gators?
They do. Yep. So the Department of Natural Resources maintains guidance for the public on how to best manage those. And I do believe that that is somewhat of an evolving situation, primarily because of the historical issues that occurred with pets being around bodies of water. And so I do know that they're updating that guidance. And so probably the best course of action would just say that the applicant would be requested to remain in close contact with the Department of Natural Resources and implement any recommendations that they may have with regards to best management practices.
Yep.
Construction traffic, because this is going to be something that all these residents are going to be facing. I live in Hilton Head Lakes, and the construction traffic on our boulevard is a nightmare. Who will be responsible to make sure that the construction times are followed, meaning we are not going to have dump trucks outside a gate or some kind of barrier to prevent these trucks getting in closer to these residents before the 7 o'clock. I think it's 7 a.m., correct? Because they'll stack and then run their engines, and it's pretty loud early in the morning. Also, who is going to be responsible to keep the roads in good working order when those dump trucks are constantly running up and down? Whose responsibility will that be?
So Pulte does ultimately own responsibility for both of those. We do partner with Securitas, our private security company, to make sure that people aren't entering the community before they're supposed to. But ultimately, it's Pulte's responsibility to be responsible for our construction traffic.
So when you say construction traffic, is it you're just concerned with the construction traffic inside your site, or will it be also on East Argent or whichever road the dump trucks are going to use to get out of there to either take their logging out or bringing in sand or whatever?
Yeah, we don't have jurisdiction over public roads.
Okay.
What I would recommend is that we had that kind of standard set of conditions that we were adding to initial master plans as they come through, making sure that they have the correct mats down and everything else. So I would recommend that we revisit those conditions and go ahead and continue to place it on the various master plans. So we can bring that to the next meeting.
So could that be written into the document so that it's followed and not fall off the ledge somewhere?
So as far as the maintenance of the road during construction, I believe we could put something into the development agreement or do a condition on this IMP. But I'd have to talk with planning to see what the best mechanism would be to put that requirement into place.
Stacking at the gates. Because I know at the Planning Commission, somebody said that there was going to be a gate that was unmanned. Where would that unmanned gate be in relation to that?
The unmanned gate will be off of Carolina Drive, right here. But like I think Matt iterated it at Planning Commission, that'll be a resident-only gate.
Right.
Construction traffic will come through from East Argent.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, you'll have your chance.
So that means all of those homes are going to be impacted then?
Well, impacted, I wouldn't call it impacted, but yeah, yes, right. They're just phase 9 and 10 are going under construction now, and the construction will continue until Pulte has access to be able to connect towards Carolina Drive.
So when I say impacted, I'm talking about dust, I'm talking about noise.
Sure.
All of those things that I find irritating when I drive down Lakeside Boulevard. And another thing that I find really irritating is that these construction vehicles, they do not follow recommended speeds on the roads. They just pull in front of you and they take off because they're bigger than you. I don't like that.
Me either.
So then
hear
we
you.
need to do something about that. And either enhance security out there or have flaggers out there or whatever it is that you'll need to do to keep those residents who are already there, because I don't think it's fair that the residents who already live there have to put up with that kind of treatment. That's not fair. So y'all need to do what y'all need to do to make sure that those things are mitigated to the point where it doesn't become a burden on them.
That's fair.
So, as far as the stacking at the gates, how far back is this gate going to be from Carolina Drive?
We have not laid that out yet, to be honest. But we always review it. Rick's the traffic engineer for this whole thing, so we'll review it with him to make sure that that works. And again, it's resident only, so it's not a lot of volume coming through that gate specifically. The majority of the construction traffic and the trades will come through the main gates with that have the manned guards. And they move trucks pretty quickly.
And also, again, talking to this Pulte guy here. The interconnectivity road is
Okay.
work with these guys to get that road connected with your development. Because to me, the longer first responders take to get to a cardiac arrest, that's that many brain cells that's dying and not coming back. That's my biggest concern, is the health and safety of these folks that's already going to be living in there. And we have to take that into consideration. That interconnectivity is prime. It's important. It's a priority.
Fair feedback.
So y'all need to take that seriously. I'm not kidding. And on the Peninsula Tract, what kind of mixed use are we talking about?
Our section won't be, the IMP that we have in front of you has no intended mixed use. So I guess that's more of a PDD question.
Question, what kind of mixed use was that going to be? What
So-
kind of businesses are going in there?
The mixed use designation, it allows for multifamily, it allows for single family, it allows for commercial. The PDD document goes through, I could pull up the list, but it's basically, it follows the MZDO as the current, to the allowed uses in those type areas. That makes sense. Everything except for there are some ones that's not allowed, that I think are pretty normal to be not allowed into these PDDs. No heavy industrial and no, what's that?
RV and boat storage, I think that's.
I think that was excluded. But-
What I'm really interested in is the commercial aspect of the mixed use that's going into that area, because I'm very concerned that if there is some kind of business that's in there that's dealing with hazardous materials or some kind of stuff like that, and if there's some kind of hazmat incident in there, you have to look at the fact that there's a lot of residential around you, and if we have to evacuate all those people, what's the plan? And that's where my concern is, about those kinds of commercial businesses going in the middle of residential.
Yep. So when we're talking about those mixed uses, you remember those photos I showed just a little bit ago? So that new Riverside development, it's included. There's a Novant office there. There's restaurants. There's services, daily services for people, retail, and then you've got the townhomes and multifamily right there. So that's the kind of, you can walk to your work, you can walk to your dinner, you can, the kids have the park area and everything. So that's kind of, I think, the vision for this type of thing.
Yeah, the heavy industrial stuff is not included. That would involve the.
That's the question that
Yeah,
I was
no,
going to ask. Because I was going to say, I don't think it's going to be an allowed use under general commercial, because typically if you're handling hazardous materials, that's going to be limited to limited industrial, heavy industrial zoned areas.
That was my biggest concern, because surrounded by residents around there, and evacuation was on the top of my mind.
We'll double check the text on that.
Yeah, and I looked briefly just to make sure, but I think we covered it pretty well, but we'll take another look. But there's things like, breweries, restaurants, retail, art, that kind of artisan village. And the whole goal is to give people a reason to not go on to Argent Boulevard from some of that interconnected area. So, you could get some of those other residents, not just Sun City, to some of these uses close by. So.
Well, any questions?
I would just second the points that Steve and Val have mentioned. I think they're very important, particularly the safety issues. And rather than go back through those, I'll stop and let Mr. Harry go next.
I'm going to try to do the easy ones first. According to this, there are, Pulte wants to, this plan is 325 acres, of which 235 are uplands and 875 homes. First question is probably for Matt. Matt, there's a video out saying that this is going to be 568 new homes. What's going on? Which is right?
So I think there's a video out with 566. If it's 568, you're probably correct. on that.
566, 568. Oh.
So we have an initial land plan with the different types of density units that we have within our master plan. So 54-foot houses, 40-foot houses, and 30-foot houses. When we did the mix that we used for that video, it came out at 566. If you change the ratios, as we often do when you go through the life iterations of a project, it could end up with that density around the 2.7 that's listed in the 875 number you were using and the 875? 875 that you were using, and what you've seen us do in the rest of Sun City. So what we're saying is we don't know what the future is going to be, so we'd rather make sure that we provide ourselves the flexibility to say, hey, if the density needs to change in order because the market changes, that we have the flexibility to say more of the units could be smaller. From the initial plans we have, when we did the video, we think it'll be closer to that 560, 600. I've had a few meetings with their HOA. I've told everybody I think it'll be between 500 and 600. The ultimate number will come down to, as we build it, what people want to buy. So as people want to buy bigger houses, we'll build more bigger houses. If they want to build smaller houses, we'll build more smaller houses.
This is the third one you and I have been through together in the last.
Feels like more.
Feels like more. It's going to feel a lot more probably by the day before the day's over, but just kidding. Maybe not. In the first thing, which is Sun City North, which I ended up living in, as you recall, was about 200 acres and 500 homes, and that's what came out. Second one is Sun City East Argent. It's 1,500 homes, and that's what I expect will come out based on the permitting so far. Now you're asking for a 50% leeway, and I'm uncomfortable with that. That is a big margin of error. And there's a reason for it, not just because I think it should be whatever you want it to be, that, give us the real number. But because, let's go back to the traffic again. It all impacts the traffic and what goes through. If it's 600, then let's put 600 in. If it's 900, then let's talk about that. But you're talking about you're asking for a leeway of 50%, and I'm uncomfortable with that, Matt. I think you give us a number, and that's what we'll approve.
It's fair feedback. I will say I mentioned that to my team when I saw the numbers for the PDD, and it does cut both ways, right? If we end up with 875, we end up having more responsibility and put in more traffic improvements. If we end up with 566 or 568, we'll actually be responsible for less and create less traffic improvements. So I want the traffic improvements, so I kind of get where having the 875 made sense, but I know ultimately they're going to make us do basically what we end up building. So hopefully we'll end up somewhere in that 500 to 600 we've been talking about, and we've received your feedback, and we'll make some adjustments.
Okay, so I'd like to approve 600 and not 875.
Can I get a little bit more leeway than just 600, like
Well,
625, 650?
We'll wait till you come back and
Okay.
see
Fair.
what you have. The I'll wait on that. So the sidewalks, there's going to be one on every side, and I want to compliment you on Sun City East Argent. That was an addition compared to the rest of Sun City, and that's something we had asked for, that you agreed to, and that makes a big difference in these side streets having sidewalks on one side. And so I think that's very good. Now, I'm going to get into active open spaces, and this is where it's going to start getting a little tough. I mentioned this is the third thing. The first one was Sun City, I think we called it North, that 200 acres. I believe, you probably don't know this, but that was the first time I had asked for you to voluntarily give us 10% active open spaces. Okay? And there were little pockets in that development where they were supposed to be. Okay? I live there. I ride my bike there. I walk around there every day. I don't see 1%. And even the last fragment of home space next to the bridge is stuffed 9 homes in there. So that's one thing, okay? And there's a point to it, not to just beat you up, but there's a point to it. We also asked for 10% in Sun City East Argent. Now, I want to see, and this is for planning, I want to see that map, where it is, and I want to see that it's been kept. There was also another request that we made in a workshop to have a sidewalk on that bridge. Didn't happen. You said that would happen. I also asked you for sidewalks leading up to it. I'll show you the video.
Yeah, let's walk the bridge when you have a minute. So when we built
I
this,
go over it, Matt, and it's not a bridge conversation, so I don't want to go into it.
when
the
you
mic-
asked us to change the size of the bridge and going from just getting a golf cart, we expanded the bridge, and it's not a linear relationship with cost when you expand a bridge like that. So it went from being maybe a $2.5, $3 million bridge to an $8 million bridge to add the sidewalk that's on it. So there's 2 travel lanes for golf carts and a pedestrian lane that you can walk across today on the bridge. So,
I'm very familiar with it.
okay.
I live there. I've been over it, and I've walked over it. And it's not a bridge conversation. The conversation is this. I think it's very important for the next conversation, and that's active open spaces. We have asked, and we are consistently, with everybody who's come in since 2018, we did Sun City North, to set aside 10% active open spaces, all right? And the reason was, and what spurred that thought with me, was the fact that when Sun City North came in, that 200 acres, there was all that thing around the lake house. And I don't know if you recall, I said, that looks like 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag.
We have a history.
Because there was nothing set aside for future plans for any community. And every community since that time has agreed to do this. And active open spaces are exactly what that is. And it's important that whatever that means, and stay consistent, that's what this council has expected from everybody. We're consistent with that. And I'm not sure, I have seen that where this all started. And so, I have a number of questions about active open spaces. If I look at that one graphic that we had earlier, there is only, if you take out the lagoons, which nobody's going to be swimming in lagoons, and I say that to everybody. There's only 4.5, if we can go back to that slide, there's only 4.5 out of 325 acres that are active open spaces. So I have a couple of questions. A, where are they and where's the acreage? And also, to count 17.4 acres of lagoons, no one counts that as active open spaces. You can't play pickleball on it. You can't play tennis on it. You can't walk your dog on it. And in fact, we've already had the alligator problem. We have not approved, and we will keep tabling it until you come back and show us 10% of active open spaces, and we're going to hold you to whatever you say, and we come back to it, okay? And that's why I want to check Sun City North. I want to make sure, and this goes back to asking about the inventory. I want to make sure that whatever we agree to at this, so I don't get the look, okay, did I say we were going to put a sidewalk on that bridge? That shouldn't be a question. It should be written down, and that's why I brought it up. It's important, even in Sun City North. There are no open spaces, active or otherwise, in that. And we specifically had spots identified. And so we have to make sure that this active open space is available. There was also something said at the Planning Commission that we're going to put a big lagoon with boating.
RC boating. There's
RC,
controlled
what's that?
boats that are used throughout. It came up, it was one of the examples.
Oh, the
you used.
remote control things?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's
okay.
not
like
boating.
it's
all right.
Okay.
Yeah, not paddleboarding, not canoeing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was a good thing you said that one, because I was going to rip that one apart. Yeah.
No wakeboarding in Sun
No,
Sorry,
yeah. Yeah. I can just see a rowboat with little kids out there and with the alligators. But and just as a side note, and Mrs. Guzman's big thing about alligator safety, and this is just a side. We all live in Sun City. I'm sorry, Grandpa, Grandma, take your kids and let them fish right by the side of a lagoon. Is not a good health plan for your grandchildren, much less for yourself if you're doing it. I agree with Mrs. Guzman. I think there has to be some restrictions, if not for, residents who should know better, but at least for children to be that close to a lagoon. And a lot of times I see them unattended by their grandparents. It's not a safe thing. So, okay. I want to talk about the buffers. And can we put up the photos that I took?
I think you had it, but let me see. I know you asked for a side-by-side, but hold on. Okay, these two.
Okay, there's two photos. There's one, and there's another. As you can see, on the right-hand side of that one, you already start to see the light. But from this part to the first one, less than 50 yards, okay? I've been over to, what's that, Java Road, okay? And I've been looking there. They have a beautiful lot, similar to the one I bought for a lot less money, with a nice lagoon and a tree line. Now, I'm told that there are wetlands there and that there should be a buffer there. I need to know for sure, A, what's the distances, but 253 feet means nothing to me. What I understand are those two pictures. What we expect to have is the picture that you can't see anything through, not the one that goes through and you can see somebody's house on the other side. And so what I need, and I'm not, you can tell me 283, I don't know what that means. Okay?
Understood.
I need to know what's going to look, when I go back to those people's houses, I want to see the second picture, not the first one. And I don't know how you guarantee that or assure that what we are approving gives that. I'm going to need guidance from you.
What if we went on the other side of the wetland and turned around and took a picture going back your direction towards the existing homes and said, because otherwise, if you're on that side or on the existing homeowner side and take a picture today, you're going to see all the acreage. But if we go on the other side and take a picture back towards their house and say, this is where the back or the edge of the line of the clearing would be, does that kind of get you where you want to be?
I think this council has to know, and, a reference to the people who are sitting back here, and a lot of them are here for a couple of reasons, but this is one of the main things. We have to protect their investment, and if that means 300 instead of 253, whatever. There should be no opaqueness of those trees, of those homes. Where I'm at, and perhaps you know where I'm at. I have a lagoon and then wetlands. I cannot see, once in a while I'll see a porch light through, in the wintertime, but it is completely filled in. That's what I think these people deserve. And whatever way, we need assurances that that's being protected. And so, Katie Brown, how do we visualize, how do we get a picture of what 253 feet is? Matt's suggestion, we go on the other side, whatever.
I think that's the perfect way to paint that picture.
Okay.
My only caveat is the hardwoods grow in the wetlands, right? And so I'll take you a picture today, but as you mentioned, in the winter, the hardwoods are going to lose their leaves. And so you've got something working in our favor, which is that once we open up the canopy, the understory will grow much thicker because the light will be let in. So, year 2, 3, 4, the opacity will be dramatically different than the day you clear. But my only concern, I don't want to mislead anybody. I will happily go out there and take a picture. As you can tell from this image up there, that distance, that wetland expanse varies as you go up and down the property line. So we could probably take 50 of them and you will get different experiences even where the distance is the same, just because of the way the nature of the understory is throughout that wetland ecosystem. But hey, we'll take a bunch of pictures, we'll look at it together and say, hey, look, this is what it looks like at the proposed property line. And then we can say, here's what it'll look like at the back of each of these lots. And then we can review it together and try to come up with the best plan. I don't want you to say, hey, you did this in the summer, you should have done it in the winter, and somebody come back later and say, well, all the trees lost their leaves in the winter. They will, but the understory should get thicker as we open up the canopy and allow light in.
Well, I would like to at least have a frame of reference. I'd like to find either through GPS or through the drone, what's the distance between my house and the block behind? So at least I have a frame of reference, because I don't see anything winter or summer, okay? So whatever is there is a thick enough canopy. If that's 400 feet, then maybe you have to provide 400 feet. And again, I don't know what it is, but we need some sort of framework, some sort of reference points to understand that 253 feet is enough. Because once it's cut, everybody out there who's affected by it, they have no recourse other than wait 20 years till the trees grow back.
We'll get you a couple of examples, not just behind where your house is, but some of the other
Right.
communities to give you some multiple points of reference there. Okay?
Okay. But the objective is the picture that has no thickness that doesn't allow for any visual from the new development going in. Okay, I did the active open spaces. All right, I'm also very concerned about, I think the name of the road is Creekview, where the road coming through the wetlands is going to go through that, that development. Okay, so now you're going to have a whole lot more traffic going through. There's two problems. Number one, it's you have to mitigate wetlands, okay? And that goes back to another thing that wasn't done in Sun City North, but I'll save that. We can talk about that on the side. But now there's going to be a heck of a lot more traffic going through this point out to the main entrance than what was originally planned when all these folks bought that property. Now, that road's always been there, so it should have been known. But now there's going to be a heck of a lot more traffic going through that residential area, traffic that wasn't really planned for. So I think, and I understand the access points, but I think there needs to be a plan to mitigate the impact on the existing neighborhoods. Now, what can that take? That can take some additional landscaping, arboretum things going along there. There's, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's I don't know what it is. That's not my job. That's your job. We need, if that has to go in, and I'm not convinced it has to be. Well, let me give you two challenges. I want to see if there's a different way to do the traffic pattern.
So
And
no
number
Creekview?
two, what can we do if that has to go through there? What do we do to mitigate the impact on that neighborhood?
Just to make sure we got this note correct, you want no access at Creekview Drive?
I would prefer you came up with an alternate traffic plan, but then again, I've already asked you for a traffic plan for the whole thing. So I want you to take another look at it. You know, how do we, you know, there were 1,500 homes in Sun City, East Argent, that had no idea that the Peninsula Tract existed, much less that it would impact them. So I think we all have a responsibility, you, Matt, as the builder, and us as the city council, to, we understand that this is a new development, it's not something that was planned for. So how do we mitigate the impact on the people who weren't planning on this coming through? And so one way is you go back to my conversation at the PDD. Let's say you had a road that went through, maybe it's this red line through the wetlands, that went around the exterior of the developments and out to East Argent. And there are access points off of that instead. Again, I'm not a traffic guy. But what I'm asking for you is to look at a better or an alternate traffic patterns, not only for what I asked about the PDD, but for here as well. Because I think we have that obligation to look at every possibility to make the impacts less than what they are to the people here, and also to make accessibility a lot better for our first responders, which I really am very, very concerned about. So you got some homework, okay?
Understood.
Val already talked about the construction hours. I think that, and I made a note as she was talking about this issue. I've had 2 homes in Sun City. I've gone through 2 phases of living with construction traffic. The cement truck's probably the worst. They don't know speed limits, and it seems so. I think there should be, Matt, some sort of A, enforcement, but B, some stiff penalties on construction vehicles. I mean, you got pretty stiff penalties on me as a resident. They should be equally stiff for construction people. So with, enforcement and penalties, I think, are important to keep the construction traffic safe throughout whatever route. You know, obviously, there's going to be no ideal route for everybody. In the Planning Commission, I noticed that there were 41.4 acres of wetlands mitigation.
That's the
Did I
credits.
write that note right?
I think that's the number of credits needed for the entire PDD.
Is that for the entire PDD? Are they all for roads? Okay. Because I've said in many, many speeches over the years that growth and preservation should not be incompatible goals. We should try to touch as little of the wetlands as possible, and we need to understand where they are and not approve it, unless absolutely necessary. For roads is one thing, but I do not like wetlands mitigation.
Yeah, and for I hear you, Mayor. For this IMP, we did ask them for a wetland buffer, and they have included a 25-foot wetland buffer in their plan, so it is there in the document.
Okay. I jumped around, so I'm making sure I don't miss anything. When does Carolina Drive, when's that planned to open? Right now, it's
The IMP connection to it? Is that
yeah.
what you mean? I think probably during, like, construction may use that as soon as phase. It
Phase
depends on the
3.
clearing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 3 crosses the wetland. But as far as it permanently being open for that's in phase. Hold on, let me go to the exhibit before I misspeak.
Yeah, I talked about that. That's,
Does that help, sir?
yeah.
You got the phase 3 there crossing the wetland, then you have 4 and 5. You get really connectivity to it with 4, but 5 will have access as well.
Okay, again, that goes back to the whole plan. I think we need a better plan. And Mr. Abdu and Matt, just so you know, and there's a lot of talking throughout the area, that growth should be paid for by the people who are coming to cause that growth. And if you look at our PDDs throughout the city, there are impact fees and a lot of them for roads. In East Argent, where a lot of these people are living, there are literally thousands of dollars for roads that they're all paying for, every single one of them, when they bought their homes. Now, I'm asking you for roads extensively, and I understand how it works. You charge the people who are going to move into the Peninsula Trap. You put it on them. Ultimately, I'm not asking you to write a check. I'm asking you to put roads in that service the community and put the bill on the people who will buy these homes. Okay? And that's how it's paid for in every PDD. And that's why throw out the, you're not going to lose profit. I want you to come up with a right plan and worry about the cost later, I guess is my message to you. All right?
And you're planning specifically location, timing, all of the above, right?
The PDD, the IMP, I think you've heard it here. We're not happy with the plan, whether it go through the existing neighborhoods, whether it's getting into there, the first responder routes, whatever. It's all the concerns that we've asked you to please take a look at a better traffic plan than what exists today. All right? And I think that's going to be critical for you to get past, the council to get a positive vote on this. That would be my speculation. All right. Council, you see, did I miss anything on here? Okay. If anybody else want to ask an additional follow-up questions before I open up to the public?
I have one, sir.
Okay.
What's the current penalty for cutting trees that they're not supposed to cut?
That number varies by size of tree and protected species, so I will have to get back to you with some examples on that. Off the top of my, it just changed with the new MZDO, and I don't want to give you a wrong number, so.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it actually, the penalty that's inflicted, it actually hurts.
It does. It does. It's a combination of a fine and replacement, and there's the size of the replacement is a pretty significant hit. So.
To make it clear, Councilwoman Guzman, and this is to put it out there for any member of the public, we don't take a whoops situation lightly, and we need to make it clear that we don't just roll it into the cost of doing business of, well, I'll just write a check and we'll move on. So it's very difficult to answer that question because we don't just want to say, here's your number, and if you cut it down, here's what you pay, because that's not what we want. We don't want people to pay us to cut down trees. We want to stop it from happening in the first place. So we typically get pretty creative when coming up with replanting plans to make it clear that it will not happen again. If that is about as clear as I can be in terms of communicating it in terms of expectations.
Mr. Gruber, I have a suggestion for that.
Yes, ma'am.
$1,000 a foot.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And on addition, to deny any further permitting until they're all nice and mature and they're replaced.
Correct. I was going to say, and that's where it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, and so we'll look at all that. But what I'm trying to communicate now is that it's not going to be a very simple or easy thing to resolve that situation should it happen.
And we do hold all permits while there's open violations, but from when we were redoing the MZDO, we looked at a lot of areas in the state, and I can tell you that besides Port Royal, we're the second strictest, so it's pretty hefty.
We're not the first?
I know, we're close, but.
If I may, especially along Village Drive, as this PDD is developed along there, we had a very bad experience down here on John Smith with the Farino development, when we found out that because of the location of the utilities underground, we lost all of the trees along that. let's not let that happen again. Let's figure out a way, either the utilities are gonna be moved back or something, because I understand what can happen, but if we know ahead of time, let's work around it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that one was located near downtown, which the infrastructure, all the documentation say the utilities are one place and then they start digging and they're not. At least out here, we're dealing with a newer development where they're going to be having to run those utilities so we can control that.
Yeah, let's just be very, very aware of that, because
Understood, yeah.
if we're talking 15 feet or 25 feet, you lose 10 feet of that
Ex-
for
yeah.
utilities. It's a done deal.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to give everyone out there the opportunity, if you'd like to make any comments, ask any questions of council. We have a large group here, so I would ask that you all be concise. We generally have a 3-minute rule, but I'm going to try not to use that, but I will put a 30-minute time limit on it. I would ask, as I do every time, that to try not to duplicate your questions. If the guy before or the woman before asked a question, there's no need to ask it again, okay, for the sake of everyone's time. So having said that, come forward, name and address for the public record, please.
Hello, my name's Jim Stonebreaker. My address is 25 Creekview Drive. We moved in 9 weeks ago. And I just wanted to add a little more color, context to what you said. I appreciate your recognition of that challenge about Creekview and the access there. If you look at all the other access roads, certainly in this Sun City West or Argent East or whatever you guys call it, those roads that have access all have borders, boundaries, you know, the landscaping and so forth to actually isolate the road. Creekview Drive as an access point is just a residential street. It's nothing but houses and driveways. That's all it's going to be. So the impact of the traffic, even just the residential traffic, let alone the construction traffic, is pretty significant to those of us who bought on that street, not knowing that this all was going to happen. So I just wanted to add that extra context. And if you haven't seen that street, Mr. Mayor, you have an open invitation to come sit on my front porch and have a beer or a glass of wine or a glass of iced tea, and you can see for yourself. Thank you.
I had my golf cart over there just the other day.
Okay, so you know exactly what I mean. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Manzelman, 471 Java Drive. Could I ask that the exhibit for the PDD be brought up, the one that shows the yellow? That one right there. So I live, if you look at that second blue asterisk down, and that's the access point at Wiry Green. I'm just off to the side of that. I think, and there's some probably people in the room that paid more than I did even, but I know they paid lot premiums. They built houses that were $800,000 to $1 million. And when you look at that purple mixed use, commercial, multifamily, right behind many of them, my neighbors, that concerns me because although your planning director showed some nice pictures of very boutique shops and things like that mixed in with housing and all that, and I've seen it around. But my concern is that could also be PetSmart. PetSmart's a very nice store or whatever. Commercial can be commercial. So if we're just a few hundred feet from that kind of commercial, I'm kind of disappointed that we invested like that. And I know that's partly Pulte sales and all that, and I took it all in. But that concerns me a little bit about what that commercial and mixed use is. And for the mayor and the council, I really appreciate you questioning the density and also the traffic in general. And my second one for the traffic is if you go back, well, just leave it here. For the development, it just doesn't make much sense to me that you complete a phase of your development, complete the houses, and then you use those two access points to East Argent as your construction access to a new development when you have an opportunity from the north to come in there. Now, I know it's not in the sequence in which they're going to develop it. They're going to develop the houses closest to Java Drive first. So I recognize that, but it seems to me you have that other access point. It'd be smarter to bring all your construction traffic in there and leave the other completed houses without impact. Now, I will say Pulte does, on Sundays, they do a great job of coming in with the street sweepers, but they come in at 7:30 in the morning after you have the construction traffic at 7 a.m. every day. So it's just a concern, and I know you've kind of raised it, and I'll leave it with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, my name is Mark Edwards. I live at 161 Sunfish. I just met some new friends on Java in the last couple of days and learned about the meeting today and everything. And I want to thank you for pointing out the density, because I think I might have been in one of those pictures that you took where there was thick trees, and now there aren't any thick trees. And I paid a lot premium, and now it just looks junky in behind me, and nothing can be done about it. So whatever Pulte can do, and I've had several conversations, but we've gone from, we're going to have 8-foot berms, we changed the hoses, we're going to a 3-foot berm. We figured out we can't put that in, so we're just going to plant some trees, which will do nothing. What bothers us more than anything, I think, is now I've got this premium that I've paid, my taxes are being assessed on that premium, and my house doesn't hold that value anymore. So just a little knowledge for my friends on Java as we move forward. Thank you.
Just for a frame of reference, come on up. The pictures I took, I went in Sundance on my golf cart the other day, and after you go through the gate, they're building on the left-hand side in that first row. Okay, you know what I mean? So if you make that first left into the new section that they're building over there, right past the entrance gate on Sundance, that's where I took those pictures.
That's where I live.
They decimated those trees.
You live behind those trees, so you're in the section that you could see through, not in the section you can't see. Okay. Thank you.
Ann Thielman, 447 Java Drive. Actually, I have a long list of questions, but I only ask a couple. You talked about the Creekside entrance and using that and traffic on that. It also shows on these maps that Wiry Green is going to be an entrance into this new development.
What was that again?
Wiry Green.
Oh, Wire Green, okay.
Yeah, Wiry Green Leaf, which is the second blue dot there, is shown as a main entrance into that new development. And so now you've got traffic from Argent or whatever coming through the neighborhood into local residential streets to try to get to this new development. I live on the corner of Wiry Green and Java, which means that corner is going to get a lot more busy than I was told when I bought my house. So I'd like to request that the city council request to Pulte that that entrance not be an entrance into that new development, that they figure out a way to get them in off of Argent or somewhere else, but not through the actual neighborhood. I don't know that anywhere else in Sun City where they have to go through local neighborhoods or local streets to get to a new development. That was the first question. The second question is it possible for the city council to postpone any agreement until some of these things are done and until Argent traffic has been created, the widening of the road and all the lights? Can this development be postponed until that's done?
Let me explain what's happening on Argent Boulevard first.
Okay.
The sales tax referendum was passed in November of '24. It started collecting in May of '25.
Okay.
There is a committee, myself, the mayor of Ridgeland, and the chair of Jasper County, who we make recommendations. We made Argent Boulevard the top priority of every project on that referendum. Like I said, it's $57 million, and we're going through federal permitting and hopefully get another 12, but that extends the permitting time because now we have to go through federal permitting. So there's a lot of things we're trying to do. But the very first thing that has to be done on Argent Boulevard is design. We know the money. We don't know what can be done. I mentioned that earlier. So design has to take place, and Jasper County has hired someone to start that process so that we can find out, okay, we can go to 3 lanes, we can go to 4 lanes, we have to change intersections, whatever it is. That's going to take a couple of years, okay? I think legally we would have some problems with that, but I'll check with our city attorney to delay this for what is a number of years. I would also add, though, and this is important, and I speak to a lot of people about this. This is 568 or 600 or whatever the numbers is. Last year, Pulte permitted 240 homes. That means that they're going to take, there's another 700 homes, 7 and change, to be permitted to finish Sun City East Argent. It's 3 years.
Okay.
At the current rate, it's going to be another 3 years before they finish this. Here's the point. These houses are not going to show up overnight. Argent Boulevard's not going to get fixed overnight. They're all going to happen concurrently to one sense or another. So hopefully, within the 3 years that it takes them before they even get over to this new section, and that's if current market conditions continue, that we will have some solid progress made on Argent Boulevard. I think, to your point, even more important is what we discussed today. How do we get the roads in and out within this PDD immediately so that Argent isn't further pressured and the residents aren't further pressured? If we come up with a better plan, this is just my opinion, if we come up with a better plan to service this new area, then that can happen right away. We don't have to wait till Argent. We can mitigate the things here, and that's the hope. Having said that, until I see a plan that's viable, we're only speculating. I hope that that answers you. I don't disagree with you, but I'm not sure that we can do that legally. I'll consult with our attorney.
Any chance they can put that light at Argent and Sundance sooner?
The Argent, and we have hired the company to do so. Do we have any latest information, Josh?
Yes, sir. It is proceeding as quickly as humanly possible.
Okay.
And what does that mean?
It means it's going to take some time because there's no engineers that are just sitting at a desk waiting for us to call them to say, hey, go ahead and start designing this. They all have months and months of work that are already in front of them. So the reality is this takes time, but we are proceeding as quickly as possible to get it installed as soon as we can.
Do you have any kind of timeline that says?
I don't, because it's contingent upon us hiring other people, and then it's dependent upon their schedule. So we don't control it, but as soon as we know it, we'll communicate it to the public.
There's with the engineers, just to clarify what Josh is saying, for DOT to allow us to put the light in, and they've approved that we can. It's a temporary light. They sent us a checklist. DOT, okay? We need an engineering company to answer all those things on the checklist. That takes time. And it's so difficult given, we've put that out to bid and we've got that going, but it's so difficult to give a timetable. And obviously if if we say 3 months and it becomes 6, you know, we don't want to do that to you. And since we don't have an accurate answer, it's better not to have an answer at all. One thing that does look pretty solid, the light at 278 and Argent Boulevard, that timetable is the end of November, and that looks like, if you see what's going on there, but that's a DOT. DOT's doing that, so they have access to resources that we have to hire, if that makes any sense. So we're trying. Nobody wants it. I go out that every day. I've had a few friendly gestures to people coming from the other side. I know how dangerous it is. I'll tell you a funny story. I shouldn't. I'm coming out there. I got to make the left because that's how I come to City Hall every day, right? There's this big truck, box truck. He comes and stops right at the entrance to William Jasper. Now, I can't see, and I have to make the left. So needless to say, I was shouting. I was on the phone, and I was shouting some of the normal New Jersey language that I used to have. And I had to apologize to the person on the phone because, but I diverge. Anyway.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. The point of the story is we all want that as quickly as possible.
Going back to the first question, if you can request that Pulte find another entrance into that neighborhood besides Wiry Green, I would appreciate that.
We will put that on the list, just like at Creekview.
Yep.
So, you know, both are a problem. I don't have an answer. I'm sure they don't have an answer right now, but we'll see if they can come up with some alternate ideas.
The other just kind of quick comment, this commercial area that's right behind our doors, how are they going to take care of security issues of people crossing from that commercial area just across into the neighborhood?
It's a good question.
So that I'd like to have them.
Let's put that on the list of questions that we present to them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to tell stories. But what we hope to have for everybody, it's another process that we've added because, again, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes you forget what you did, especially if it happened 7 years ago. So what staff is going to be doing at the end of this, before the next meeting, whenever that is, we'll list out every topic, and then when we have the next meeting, we'll expect those answers to come back to us. Yes, sir.
So Jeff Lauer, that upper blue dot on Creekview, that's me. All right, so here is what my
Is that
house
why you wore a
sounds-
blue shirt?
I'm sorry?
Is that why you wore a blue shirt?
Yeah, I got a match. By the way, could we show all the maps oriented the same way with north up? Because it makes it look like you're going over closer to Bluffton. You're not. You're actually going north when you go to that. So it really gives a false representation of the orientation of how you get access and egress out of this place. This is my house at 7 a.m. That's a 66,000-pound concrete truck. 875 homes. Now, by the way, so a typical foundation takes 3 concrete trucks, and then the pad, the driving, that takes another concrete truck. It takes a concrete pump truck. In addition to that, the framing trucks, when they come in, they sound just a little bit quieter than that, but they weigh a lot. So we're talking for 875 homes. I calculate it because I watch out my front window and hear it and feel it in the house. There's going to be like 9,000 trips made by heavy equipment outside my home, and they're going to sound like this every day. Earlier, Jim, I think You said Creekview was not designed to accommodate that. What did we say here? We want growth and preservation. Josh, I think you said what we want is common development scheme. Right. Okay. Well, Sun City has 12 entrances and exits in the north, south, west, and Riverton. By the way, there's only one entrance in Riverton. So anyway, 12 exits and entrances, right? Creekview is going to be lucky 13 because it's the only one with some unique properties, which has driveways exiting out to a busy street with 9,000 deliveries of heavy vehicles being made in it. Every single entry and exit has wide vistas, hundreds of feet wide, have berms at least 6 feet tall or very dense trees. This is the only spot in the entire development that is supposed to have a common development scheme that breaks with the common development scheme. This does not have a common development scheme. So why is that? And why did I pay $250,000 in lot premium? Because I was promised by Pulte that you're going to get a unique, exclusive lot. It's secluded. That roadway, that's a pumping station access. That's never going to go through. And that's what I signed on my documentation here. Yet, my neighbors who signed documentation in January shows a through road. I wasn't told about that before I closed. Why? So, this doesn't make any sense. Thank you for your comments, your questions, but it really doesn't make any sense, the accessibility for both points. I mean, going on Sundance, wide vistas, wide boulevards, it has the common development scheme. Let's stick with that for the benefit of everyone, because we truly do want to protect our investments. We want to be strong members of the community, and we're your tax base. There's going to get more people like us here, but I'm finding that I'm really challenged that what I paid for the house is not worth what the house is going to be valued at if those things go through. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for hearing our voices. My name is Laura Golub, and I live 710 Java Drive. You have definitely gone over a lot of issues, but I have kind of two questions. Regarding the wetlands, I understand the 238 feet. I just would like to know, is that on both sides of the wetlands? So is it going to be from where the wetlands are, from my house to the beginning of the wetlands, and then on the other side, from where those wetlands start to the next property that's going to be built? I, like everybody else, paid a lot of money for my lot. And I did that because of the greenery. And as you have mentioned, Mayor, I don't want to lose that. That's the whole reason I purchased the lot that I did. Also, regarding the wetlands, once you start building, water likes to find the least resistance. How do we know that our homes aren't going to be flood zones? Because water goes where water wants to go. And we're taking away the natural habitat of the greenery. So I'm also concerned in regards to, are we going to have flooding issues because of this new development that's being built close to the wetlands? My next question is entrances. If you go to the south, if you go to the north and the west, we all have a gate that has a person to allow people to come in and out. Why doesn't this new area have their own? We should not have to deal with traffic on a day-to-day basis, even after all the construction is done, you're still going to have Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon, all these trucks going to all these new residents. They should have their own manned entrance, just like all the other sections of Sun City. So I would like all these concerns to be considered when approving the new development. Thank you very much.
We have, that is one of those questions down. Thank you. There's some interesting questions in there. Okay, thank you.
My name is Gene Gage. I live at 770 Java Drive, and I just want to question the efficacy of thinking of having an emergency vehicle, fire truck, EMS, come down a road, a little small road with us. We're senior citizens. You know, we're not as sharp as we used to be. And a high-speed vehicle coming down there would just not be right on Creekview. And that's, I just want to kind of throw that out.
Okay, I'm not sure what your question is, but if someone's going to an emergency, our vehicles go as safely as they can through neighborhoods to get to that person. And hopefully it won't be you.
Well, I'm just saying, we're not as sharp as we used to be, and this is a senior citizen
No, but
subdivision.
I guess what I'm asking is, what's your question, that we shouldn't be,
Oh,
our
what the
first
thought
responders
process was.
should not go
Why would you
fast?
why would you approve that that's going to be in a corridor for rushing coming through our subdivision? That's very dangerous.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood the question. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Ray Gargiulo. I live at 730 Java, amongst my friends here. Thank you for having us. I have three questions or 3 points. One was, we talk about safety and security. I recently had an opportunity to sit down with a ex-fire person, fire chief. Fire person, wasn't a chief. And they were explaining about the new fire station proposed at Village Drive. They were also talking about the fact that the reason for certain requirements is to attain certifications as it relates to speed of accessibility to the person or persons that need that. And I'm listening here, and I'm not hearing anyone talk about potentially getting with the fire department or the EMS or the police to determine what those certifications are required would be to help the city of Hardeeville attain certain things within their emergency services. So I wanted to point that out in conjunction with the points that were made. The second thing was relative to I mentioned about Wiry Green, but it also relates to the fact that there will be construction vehicles that will not use just or want to use just Creekview. They will want to use Wiry Green, and the only real way to get there is to come through the main gate, past the brand new amenity center, go down Java, and then turn at Wiry Green. That seems to be a lot of concern. I would think there'd be a lot of concern relative to the fact that there's this new amenity center with a lot of people moving in and out of the amenity center, not only from a swimming pool perspective, but from an exercise perspective. And that would be a concern that I would think that the city council would take, and these people here would also take. The last point I wanted to find out about is, if someone could put up the section of the map that shows not only East Argent, but also this section here. Do you have that map? Showing the development, the current development and this section? Yes. So I don't have pointers and I can't explain, but I'm just going to go over this for a second.
No, you have to stay there, sir, because she'll help you with the pointer.
Hold the top button down.
Okay. All right. So I think it was mentioned earlier that this section here is going to be pulled back by Pulte and brought over to use as commercial service, commercial property, in addition to some of this all over here. This would be commercial over here, I should say. This would be mixed use. This would be commercial access. So this is going to mean going over another wetland area through an existing area that's right behind the existing duets in Pulte over to a commercial area. That is also going to be another security area. And I don't believe that the people that bought in those duets are even aware of that at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey there, my name's Jim Deckman. I live at 754 Java. And I want to suggest to you that you don't pay any attention to a picture taken from the development into the buffer zone, looking into Java Drive. Only look from Java Drive into the trees, because that's where the view is that we're going to be concerned with. I don't care what the people on the other side see, but I care what I see, because I have a nice lot and I understand the same thing. Number two, does Hardyville have any time frame from an emergency vehicle beginning its run to the farthest point where it is legally or the jurisdiction of that? And I think that should be the key to where you put emergency, like a fire department or EMTs are with the fire department. So I just wonder about that. That hasn't been said. And the third thing, at what point in the discussion of the buffer would there be a lawsuit between Pulte and the county or Hardyville about the width of the, is there any, are you going to be the total arbiter about the width of the buffer? Or is there going to be an argument and the courts are going to win? That's all.
These buffers are in the municipal zoning ordinance, and that's what is required. What is negotiated may be something different. So there's a minimum that's required. And then there's what we're talking about here, where we ask the applicant to do something different than what's required.
Mayor, the 30 minutes has passed.
I'm sorry?
The 30 minutes has passed.
Okay, well, I took up 5 with my crazy story, so I'm going to allow it to go.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I'm Lisa Wagner. I'm the Director of Planning and Building Services for Jasper County. I don't have any issues with this annexation at all, but I do want to just let you know I came today because I wanted to learn more about this. I've not heard about this annexation until this past Wednesday. I received an email from a Jasper County Planning Commissioner who received an email from a Hardyville Planning Commissioner. I usually get the agendas, but I didn't get it So,
We'll be happy to track that down, Lisa, because I'm pretty confident it was sent out as part of the traditional distribution of the agendas.
I
So
checked my emails
Yeah,
just
we'll
to
try to
make
figure out
sure.
where the IT breakdown, but I know you're on the list and have gotten all the ones up until now. So
I have, yes, sir.
that's it. So it would be an exception rather than the rule that not receive it.
Okay. So the development agreement has expired for the Peninsula PDD. However, the parcel the out parcel surrounded by the purple, Jasper County did extend the development agreement to that parcel. That's John Cardamone, and we have actually assigned 16 dwelling units per acre for wetlands for multifamily for that property. And we also applied some development agreement fees. The Peninsula PDD was the first PDD ever approved in Jasper County in 2004. It was all new territory for us. And at the time, the council members and the administrator at that time did not, and maybe they didn't realize, but there were no development agreement fees associated with it. So when we renegotiated this development agreement just for that tract, those fees were negotiated. I do want to ask about this parcel here. Is this, I mean, it appears to be part of the plan, but I don't see this one on the agenda. So unless it's been combined with one of the other parcels or it's already been annexed.
That was a Scrivener's error on my part. We
Okay.
fixed it since then, but
Okay.
yes, thank you.
I just wanted to ask and make
No, I
sure.
just missed with all the other ones.
The county had approved a master plan just a couple years ago for these parcels here for the Sun City Hilton Head cottages. I realize, if y'all annex it, then that master plan is no good under Jasper County. So again, I really have no issues with this. I do just want to make sure that we're all communicating. And the other thing I would like to point out is whatever happens on this track here, I just really hope they're aware of the industrial uses that are already taking place here. Because when Sun City expanded behind the Shinger Avenue, we received a lot of complaints because there was some industrial uses back there, the noisy firewood place. So, and then there is also the original Peninsula PDD. It was intended for the property owners to maintain Village Drive. Of course, Village Drive ends right here at the end of Averly Chase. So I did want to make sure this property was going to have access. I see it is on this plan. So, and I would like to request a copy of the submittal that's been made to the city of Hardeeville, including the traffic impact study. Okay, and that's really all I have.
We'll get you all that information, Lisa, and find out where the breakdown took place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we have time for one more.
My name is Ann Wrighton. I'm at 750 Java. I wanted to thank the council for all your concerns about safety and fire and utilities. I think those are really good points. Also, thank you for the focus on the buffer. I live on 750 Java for that. Some of my neighbors have received a certified letter regarding this development, and I would have thought that I would have received one too, since I'm affected being on Java Drive, and so I don't know if you can comment on that or not.
We have an ordinance that says if you're within a certain amount of distance, that
Okay.
you should be notified by letter in addition to the public notices that are going out. If you didn't get it, then we'll check it out.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. 30 seconds. You're a repeat customer, so
You hate things coming out to Argent Drive, right? Well, guess where that big, noisy concrete truck gets its concrete from? Did I just, okay, which one? The top one. It gets it from Carolina Drive. Why are we taking what will be 5,000 trips of a truck out to Argent and over and through a neighborhood. Why don't we just open that up? Close to the cement plant. Come on.
Okay, I think, council, I personally, in theory, don't have a major objection to putting more Sun City homes here. There are zoning laws that allow residences to be built there that were given many, many years ago. I don't know exactly what the zoning is, but as you heard, it was a PDD before, and there were over 4,300 homes. So there's a right to build. Personally, as I said earlier, I think it would be a better use of if this was all one giant development and we could deal with traffic a lot more intelligently instead of having a lot of different things, but that's just me. What we're going to do is amass all the questions. We're going to give them to all of you in the front row. Council, I personally don't think we're ready for first reading. I think we need to ask questions. I'd like some input if what your feeling is.
Mayor, excuse me.
Yes.
There is one question on Facebook if you would like to entertain it.
Yes.
This is from Lance Hardy. He says, what is the plan for ICE and ensuring that all of these aren't built by illegals not paying taxes?
And that's why it's in Facebook.
Mr. Mayor, I don't feel that's even worth a response.
I have no plan to respond. Would you like to respond?
Not a bit.
Oh, okay, I won't respond either. Okay, did they give an address?
No, sir.
Okay, we don't answer anything that doesn't have an address to it. Okay, so council, I would suggest, if you're in agreement, that we schedule another workshop and give the applicants time to get the questions and come up with the answers, including all the questions that were asked by the public, and as well as all the questions that were asked by the council. I would hope that my particular sense of humor was not offensive to you all, and if it was, I apologize. But we try to keep these as civil as possible. Okay. But at any rate,
May I ask?
sure.
One question, this is for the county. This out parcel, is that master plan still active? As this is sitting right in the middle of a development, I think it's going to be very important.
Lisa, please, because we're filmed.
So this will be a single lot development. We don't have a master plan for the property, but we have extended the development agreement. And again, it's planned for multifamily use, 16 units, 16 dwelling units per acre based on uplands only. The wetlands are not included.
How many acres is that uplands in there?
I didn't have a lot of time to look at that, but I think it's about 22 acres. If I remember, we've called it out in this, we call that tract C2. There is an amendment, it's recorded with the Register of Deeds. If I remember, the total density's about 402 units.
402 units added to what we already have. Okay, That's my first question. My second one is, to you gentlemen there, you've all heard about the traffic issues coming in through Sun City. At least I'm sorry. Please consider extending Village Drive into the Pulte development. It will take that traffic out of the existing Sun City. The road's going to need to go through there sooner or later, and maybe the sooner the better. We asked Carolina Station to do that, and they are. They're taking a road all the way back out to John Smith, the 46 area, way before they even get building back there. Be a good neighbor. It'll help everybody. Thank you.
May I ask
Yes.
one more question? This is for Miss Lisa. Who owns that particular parcel?
It's owned by Village, it's Village Park LLC. John Cardamone is the part of, I don't know what his role is, but he's the only one I've ever really dealt with on this property.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, council, do you want a workshop or go to first reading next week?
Workshop.
Workshop, okay. Mr. Gruber, would you please
Yes,
get
sir.
that scheduled, given enough time for the applicant to get the answers to all the questions?
Here's kind of the process that I've been sketching out in my head. First, I'd like staff to kind of compile all of the questions that have come out from today and distribute that to everybody. Then let's set a meeting to sit down with the development team to go through those lists and start then helping to scope some of the responses. And then at that meeting, we'll identify what the date is or dates for a follow-up workshop and then coordinate through the clerk for y'all's schedules to get that locked in the calendar. But I think that's a good progression to make sure that when we do come back, we can make that the most productive meeting and kind of work on narrowing down those issues to then move into first reading.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Any other questions by council before we adjourn? Seeing none, I'd like a motion to adjourn. We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your comments.